I am Anjeev Kumar. I welcome all of you on the behalf of SCAI. Today's subject of discussion is multiplex operations in shopping malls. To discuss this, we have invited eminent personalities from the industry. Mr. Devang Sampath, he is CEO of Cinepolis India. Mr. Rajiv Sharma, he is CEO NY Cinemas. Mr. Ashish Kanakia, he is the CEO Movie Max. Then Mr. Amish Sharma, he is the Managing Director Mirage Entertainment Limited. Manish Gaur, he is the Chief Development Officer PVR Inox Limited. And Rohit Froy, he is a Senior Vice President, Head Leasing Business from N-Orbit Malls. Rohit shall be moderating the session. So before I hand over it to Rohit, I request all my viewers, if something is coming to their mind, they can pose their questions, which our panelists will address once the session concludes. So over to Rohit.
Thanks, Anjeev. Thanks for hosting this and getting the powerhouse people from cinema in one frame. Let me put it that way. Hello, everyone. It's a Thursday early evening, or I should call it late afternoon. We hope to have a great session today. All we can promise you, the celebrities or the personalities from the cinema industry, all they can guarantee all of us and the viewers is entertainment, entertainment, and entertainment.
Yeah,
right?
That's great.
So with that, we can start it off. A small brief on how the year is going on. I think we were reading some articles in Economic Times. I think this year would be about 12,000 crores turnover from the cinema industry, which could be the highest ever the industry has recorded. They have already around 8,800 crores for the first half of the year, and the screens, which all of the people over here in this webinar controls, is about 2,500 screen across the country, right? So without much, I would like to go directly onto our topic. Our topic is multiplex operations in shopping malls. We'll try to keep it more diverse and connect across the sector. I'll start off with you, Devang. Would like to understand from you, what are the business models nowadays the multiplexes are looking to evolve, especially in the current environment? We've seen a lot of ups and downs, especially after the COVID period, right? That's one. And second part of it is, with your business model, we're also seeing a lot of consumer behavior change. So if you can touch upon what's the consumer behavior now. So all yours, Deva.
Thank you, Rohit. Thank you for summarizing. Thank you for putting energy to the session. Thank you, Sunil, for organizing this. Let me first start with, yes, I mean, the industry, as you know, is that slowly but definitely bouncing back, and things are changing. It took us really long, meaning for us to understand, how, the sentiments are, especially after, I mean, as we know now the world is talking about pre-COVID and post-COVID. So if you talk about pre-COVID, especially, we knew that every screen that we open will generate about 120,000 admissions per screen, annually speaking. And that was true in a pre-pandemic era, and few weeks were doing really well and few weeks were down. So we'll see peaks, we'll see valleys, but when you annualize this number, of course, South is different, then some smaller town will be different, or smaller catchment rather, I would say, would be different, but it would generate about 125,000 admissions. Now that is something that we are learning on what happened after post-pandemic. And let me answer both your question on how we are looking at the industry. So specifically, if you talk about what happened during the lockdown, and we were the first one to close, last one to open. Once we opened, unlike other retailer, where they opened the shop and started selling the merchandise which they had, we had to convince, the producer after the government was convinced that, okay, let's start operating, and it took really long. But when we opened, let's say after the third wave, and then suddenly we saw that April, especially, I mean, March, April, May, those 3 months was the best month in the history of cinema industry and the history of the exhibition. And we thought, okay, everything is okay, we are back, and we are good to go. And then we again started expanding. We had new entrants, in the exhibition business, and we saw suddenly the things were looking quite positive. Issue that we saw happen specifically is after that first quarter, and suddenly the content dried down. Global numbers were, kind of started reflecting on India performance as well, because when we saw a movie like KGF, RRR, Gangubai, we thought, okay, we are back, and India is very different from how international markets are behaving. That wasn't the case. That reality check happened after that first quarter, and unfortunately it lasted for almost 9 months. And for 9 months we were wondering, oh my God, what's happening? And we were clueless on the industry aspect. Cut to this year specifically, again, we had record-breaking movies started with, Shahrukh. It was all Shahrukh Khan years, so whether you call it Jawan, Pathan, it reached new height. But in between also, we had Gadar. Of course, between January to when Gadar came in, it took really long. So Pathan, we thought, okay, in January it's great, but then from there to Gadar took really long to come, but after Gadar came, then we had consecutive 3 Oppenheimer, Barbie, the ball rolling. To be honest, the way we are looking at this industry is the big movies are becoming much bigger. The small movies are yet finding its waves. It's not that I wouldn't call it the small star cast, but even movie like Drishyam, which was with a low cost of production, but at the same time went on to do about 250 crore. The right metrics that I would suggest to track for multiplexes is to see that how these footfalls are coming back, and from the database that we have from the loyalty program that we run, we have observed that the bigger issue is the permanent loss in the exhibition sector. So one, we call it temporary, one is permanent, and there are about 20% people who are not coming back to the cinema. So that's the behavior change that we have seen. The big ones are becoming bigger. The small ones are yet to find his way. Having said that, we are still in hunt of that 120,000 people per screen, which we are currently seeing that it has been dented by about almost 20%. And this is average. So because the big ones are becoming bigger, the small ones are getting dented even more than 20%. So it's almost about 40% there. So that's where we are seeing, and we are still learning. I mean, I would call pre-pandemic behavior is something that is not very clear to us, and we are still learning to see how the behaviors will go over a period of time. And to conclude your the first question is that since we don't know about how a business would be, we have been suggesting mall partner that okay, let's do the joint investment. If you want to add with the investment, let's do the joint investment. Our job is to make sure that people come back again and again, but at the same time, we are not sure on how the future would be. So instead of having those minimum guarantees, aggressive minimum guarantees, let's work on a model where we co-invest and split the revenue in the ratio where it's a win-win situation.
Okay. So interesting thoughts, Devang. Great. Moving on to Manish, I would like to throw you some points and understand from you what is the newness. I'm sure Devang touched upon those larger big movies movies, and then there are mid movies, and then there are low movies. What is the newness in kind of content you guys are witnessing, which is really appealing to customers? That's one I would like to understand from your business point of view. Second is also multiplexes uses a lot of real estate in a shopping center, a mall, right? When especially you guys don't have the right kind of content, are we exploring to use that space for any alternate use? If yes, what all have you done and what has worked, what's not working? So if you can cover these 2 points, please.
Yeah, thanks for inviting, Rohit. It's always good to be part of the panelists, which are who's who of the industry. In terms of the content, what you were asking for and what is the newness. So currently, if you see, there are no trends after the the post-COVID on what exactly is working, except for, as Devang said, that the large tentpole movies seem to certainly get the people back. Now, when it comes to the smaller niche movies, there are movies like, in the sense of the Dream Girl 2, which started off quite well. They got the people back. But there are other good movies. I mean, one of the thing is quite a lot of hopes were there on movies like The Vaccine War, especially after the Kashmir Files and the Kerala story. Despite the fact that there was a big hype in terms of the director, the movie is not done as well as we thought it should have. So I think the clear trends in terms of what is working, what is not working for smaller niche movies is still not clear. Now, one of the ways we are also trying to dig out in terms of what works and what the customers are seeking. We've been doing actually quite a lot of small, festivals or the mini festivals, which are taking, for example, we've just done last week, we've done a festival with 25 years of the Yash Raj films, the old, movies which were there, and very big movies at their times. For example, Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge and things like that. And we were actually surprised by, the response we got. We started with a minimum number of screens where we wanted to do this. And then we had to increase the number of screens because the demand was so high. We've done, events like what we call the Pink Festival, which are women-oriented movies. Again, places where we have tried. So I think the whole point which is there is right now to stimulate the customer to, kind of give the feedback in terms of what really are they looking for. Because the content is very diverse in terms of if you see what is coming up in, the OTT, etc. And we are yet to ascertain whether the customer is fully back into the groove and they know exactly what they want. So they will only go to what they believe is appealing to their senses instead of, the broad-based content which we've been talking about. So I think it will take quite a lot of experimentation as of now to still, zero down on what is appealing to the customers. There is a continuous feedback which goes back to the people who are involved, both in terms of producers, in terms of distributors, to say what kind of movies are working, etc. What is the response to the movies? And we are hoping that the content will get streamlined to what the customer is looking for. So that we believe will happen. Now, in terms of your second question, the areas, etc. I mean, my observation, has been that the industry actually, when they were having heydays, I think the whole point was that just keep on increasing the scale, keep on adding the number of screens, things like productivity, efficiencies, etc. took slight backseat, mainly because of the fact that when you compare it to the retail or when you compare it to F&B, right, they are very, very focused on what they're able to get or generate from the space. I think that took a backseat. I think we have certainly from our side, I don't know about the other panelists, and I'm sure they will be able to add in their points. We've gone back to the drawing board to try and get the efficiencies to take away as much area out as which is not usable or which is not really adding to both customer in terms of the experience or in terms of even whatever area we take is actually coming out from the mall developer. And a criminal waste of that area, does not justify anyone. So I think we've gone back to the partners. We are sitting down with them. We are redrawing the lines. We are redrawing, the circulation. We are relooking at exactly what do we need to do that the customer experience remains top notch, and yet it is delivered at a much more efficient space. So that is one part. Second thing, which obviously we've been, also looking at is for example, what is customer responding? We realize that the premium large formats is what people are preferring. So either you have the formats like director's cut and the premium formats which start off filling fast, or you have the large format screens which are filling fast. So this whole idea of just shrinking the screen size, is also, we are reevaluating that to say that how do we get, even if we have slightly less number of screens, but at least the PLFs or the premium large formats and the specialty formats are fitted in such a way that it gives you a much higher area efficiency. So that is what currently we are working on, and hopefully, as we said, that as we go forward, you will see the new cinemas addressing that.
Sure. But Manish, also on the extension of this, is there on your existing screens, are you using it apart from projecting a movie? Is there any alternate use you guys have tried or you are thinking about? Because I know PVR, Inox now being one of the most creative teams. Is there something different you have done or you're thinking of?
No, so the alternate media, as they call, which is non-movie media, or non-movie usage, we've tried quite a lot of things. If you see, for example, the sports events, we are very, very active in trying to bring that on the mainstream, and with quite successful results. So most of the matches, for example, of the Cricket World Cup matches, which are the key matches or the marquee matches, they are being projected there. We also got, the concerts of some of the largest music artists. We did an event last year which was done with BTS, and that kind of got fantastic results. We again started with smaller number of screens, and it just kept on adding because of the demand which was there. We also tried the things which were completely non-traditional, like, for example, doing the town halls, for somebody who wants to do a town hall, let's say a medical town hall and things like that. But, fairly we believe that it is such a niche demand as of now that it is not something which can be brought into the mainstream, right? We looked at the alternate use. For example, quite a lot of cinemas have, the stages in the front. So could you do, for example, the stage play, stand-up? Again, like I said, that we have dabbled in quite a lot of them with mixed response. So we are also calibrating. We are looking at, what specific requirements are there for those non-movie alternate media, and see how do we streamline that, especially for the non-peak periods and things. So hopefully, again, like I said, that this is something which will keep on evolving as we go forward.
Okay, great, Manish. Ashish, moving on to you. I believe this is the second time the Kanakya Group is entering the cinema space, which is now buzzing with a lot of, as rightly put across by Devang and also some touch upon on Manish, that's a lot of trends have been changing, a lot of things have gone up and down. But you also, not only you have a competition from the established players in the country, the international player like Cinepolis in the country, but also OTT, right? So can you just throw on some light that how do you really foresee the cinema versus OTT, and is there something different you guys are doing or contemplating to do?
So just the standard, most common debate that happens, whenever you discuss with any investor, any person, any stakeholder related to this industry. So see, if you see the mega trends globally, domestically, everywhere, OTT, it's quite clear that, especially, and it's become more clear ever since interest rates in the US increased, that the standard OTT model is not working. These companies, these studios cannot afford to make such losses. They all have stopped their content spend. They've understood that the the subscriber video on demand model needs to correct. They've all moved towards reducing their prices and increasing advertising and growing through advertising, right? And you're seeing the difference in, the earnings call of all these major studios. You're seeing it in the stock prices. You're seeing it in their management commentary, that they're all moving to rationalize their investments towards OTT, increase content spend towards theatrical, and use theatrical as the first window and, monetize it through the traditional cycle. Monetize content through the traditional cycle. So this is one mega trend, which gives us, some sort of an answer that what the world and what is working globally. then you have, locally, domestically studios here. When you study their math, they also cannot afford to produce the content that they're producing without monetizing it theatrically. Thirdly, what we're seeing quite clearly is that when content connects, whether globally you saw Barbie, Oppenheimer, or here you saw all the various contents, Gaddar or XYZ, when content connects, it connects even better than pre-pandemic. You see higher ATPs, higher food income. So clearly the trend is that firstly, OTT has created its own space, but it will not substitute out-of-home entertainment. Out-of-home entertainment options, and it has disrupted in-home entertainment. When you listen to their commentary, they're focused on how can I beat YouTube, how can I beat Netflix is focused on how can I beat YouTube, how can I beat gaming on mobile phones. They're not focused that how do I beat an AMC theaters. We are the traditional businesses for them. Their focus is more of how do I, that person who spends 6 hours a day on his mobile phone, how can I get him to spend two extra hours on my platform. And we're focused on when a person plans to go out to a restaurant or XYZ place, how can I bring him to my cinema? And that mainly a consumer's decision comes from the kind of content that is supplied. So it depends, we're very, very strongly connected with the content cycle, and it's very seasonal. So when good content comes, we're seeing that people are choosing cinema as their preferred option for out-of-home entertainment. So there's this interesting saying that, like in cricket, you have one day international. Earlier you had one day international and you had Ranji Trophy, and then came IPL, right? So even in cinemas, you earlier had just theaters and you had TVs, televisions, and then came an OTT. But the viewership of a one day international did not reduce because of an IPL. So similarly, I'm saying the viewership of a cinema, yes, tastes have changed, they have evolved. We all have to learn, correct. The content formula still I don't think anyone has understood, because you have a film like Gaddar, which massy action film which works, and you have a film like Kisi Ka Bhai Kisi Ki Jaan, which is again a massy action film which doesn't work with a great star. So it's a really it's a tricky situation for a producer and a content maker. But over time, as we see, I think over the next 6 months, people will be quite clear and it will be quite understood what sort of content is working. And you have small regional films throughout. We've had Baipan Bhari Deva in Maharashtra. You've had Khushi, I think, in South. You've had Carry On Jatta, Mastane in Punjab in the North. So there are a lot of small films also which are working. So it's completely confusing. You had Zara Hatke, Zara Bachke, which started this whole revival, which was again a very mid-sized film. So, there are big films, small films, all types of films are working. But that formula, what sort of content to make, what sort of content will work. You had a vaccine war and a Kashmir Files. Again, one worked, one didn't work. So it's a complex position for a content maker. But it's quite clear if you analyze the data and the evidence that cinemas are here to stay.
No, definitely. I great inputs, Ashish, from your side. And I truly believe, yes, cinemas are here to stay, because the OTT still is like a casual thing what you can click and pause and all. But cinema, as you rightly said, for an outgoing guy, and truly the experience really matters.
Absolutely.
So coming on to experiences, Ashish, I would like to ask this to everyone. We see a lot of new formats being evolved, 4DX, kids special screens, and so on and so forth, in terms of technology, especially in a mall, in a multiplex. What do you think it really helps for you in terms of the business model? Or is there a way you're going to further improvise that? Or are we seeing something new getting born from your side of it?
No, so I'll say principally formats and the multiplex exhibiting a film needs to evolve from pre-pandemic to post-pandemic, and how it's going further. We can't exhibit a film in the same way. We have to adopt newer technologies. We have to make it commercially viable. There's a question mark on its commercial viability. But it's quite clear that movie going has to become a lot more immersive. as again, in-home entertainment, as televisions become bigger and bigger, your in-home content, the way you consume content is becoming so much, better. When you're going out of home, spending so much on a ticket, we have to, over the next 5, 7, 10 years, we have to evolve the way we are showcasing movies, And again, if you see IMAX's results, they've reached 90% revenue pre-COVID. I mean, more than that, I think they've exceeded pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Their footfalls are beyond pre-pandemic. So, and they're also, I think, becoming very stubborn on only playing IMAX films now, because they're getting a lot more content. Content makers have a lot more confidence in the IMAX format. So all these special formats are where customers want these special formats. Now the thing is only exhibitors to make it commercially viable with the format providers. It's currently not very commercially viable. And again, see megatrends globally also. All major exhibitors, including here PVR, Cinepolis, all of them are moving to pure laser projection. This is the step towards evolution. We move to now every cinema having Atmos. From here, I see it further evolving, the way we are designing cinemas also. So it has to evolve, and I think it should evolve it needs to evolve even further. It's evolving at a very slow pace. It needs to evolve further. That's where the format suppliers need to work with us and figure out a solution.
Interesting. Devang, your views on the formats and the overall experience and technology?
The way I see it is, I cannot agree more that the formats are here to stay, but those formats are here to stay for probably, when you look at Indian context, for probably 3% of the title that we release. We release about 1,200 to 1,500 title in a year. Out of that, those 3% of the title, yes, they do have the formats to attract those audiences. But I would like to put it in a way that we are still not ready. The issue is that like Ashish mentioned, it's commercially not viable. I mean, if your normal ticket price is, let's say, 200, and if the format is 600, the average ticket price, even with that, your payback is more than 15 years. So the issue is that those formats currently does not make sense unless it's a homegrown format, like how we started with Macro XE. When we launched in India, that's how we started with. And then those formats do get traction. We do invest, but at least on top of that investment, we don't have to pay royalties only because we put a brand. So those things won't work, and that's how the brand like Junior that we started, is again getting traction. So things like giving an alternate option to an audience, one more reason to go for a cinema hall. Yes, those format helps, but at the same time, I wouldn't call it that format is the reason because of which people go to a cinema hall. If the format is not available, they will still go and enjoy it, and we just need to make sure that the basic services and their experience when they visit cinema hall is nothing but the best. So that's where the format. I mean, within Cinepolis, we keep on debating about is it worth investing in format or build more 5 screens with the same opportunity of investment that we have, and we, as of now, we've chosen not to invest in the format of the different brand, but to continue with our own homegrown brands.
Great, Devang. I think that gives a lot of views on that one. Manish, I would like to come to you again. We've just seen a new concept which been launched by PVR Inox, which is the monthly pass. At I think about $6.99, you can see 10 movies in a month. Very unique and different. I don't know whether it's a direct hit, you're trying to hit the OTT, or you want to appeal to the consumer, the college-going kids, because I think there are too many terms and conditions. You can't use it on weekend. You can't use it on holiday. Use only for weekday. So I just want to understand what was the thought behind when you guys came up with this kind of an offer, and what's the. I know it's too early to comment how successful or what the number it's crunching in, but I would like to understand the thought behind it and what's gone in when you came out with this.
Yeah, so Rohit, as you have heard from, I think almost all the panelists have echoed that, in the last 2 years post-COVID, we noticed that the event films are actually getting bigger and bigger, whereas the niche movies are barely keeping up, right? And event films and weekends, holidays, they do not require any intervention, right? Because they are getting people in anyway. I think the problem which is there is that while the customer is gravitating normally or naturally towards the weekends and event films, you see a very large drop which happens during the week, right? So the weekday and the weekend occupancies are so stark that what we felt was that there is no way that you can, just focus on adding screens, which will only get people on the weekend. So you need to move the people and spread them across for the whole week. And we felt that we needed to address that. So we recently rolled out this pilot, which is the subscription model for moviegoers in select regions and cinemas, again, to check what is the kind of response which we can get. The idea is very simple. The idea behind this is to fill the theater seats on the weekdays and boost the occupancies on the weekdays, which is traditionally far behind weekend occupancies. When we were looking at that, and quite a lot of debate in pricing, target audience, etc. So the three target groups which we are focusing on basically here are students, housewives, senior citizens, which are basically time rich, right? I won't say cash poor, but the fact of the matter is that they have more time in their hands, and they are looking for avenues, to use that time. And we intend to encourage the audience to visit the cinemas multiple times per month, instead of just making it once a month kind of, an affordable, visit which they do with the families. So we said that here is the option that at the subscription model, you can visit the cinemas multiple times a month, which will also help basically the niche movies. In terms of value, interestingly, it is perhaps the most affordable subscription offer in the world, as the other companies which are offering these subscriptions in the West are priced far more, they are on much more expensive, and also the restrictions, as you call it, are far more on the subscription models than what we have managed to get. Again, like I said, the idea is that we should get people for the weekdays and not give them the reason to come in only on the holidays or the weekends. So the most value conscious segment with love for cinemas that would like to see more movies, but also conscious of the cost of such outings, is what the target is. And this is why, if you see, we decided to exclude the premium formats out of this offer, right? This is mainly, again, like Devang said, 90% of the cinema screens, which are your mainstream cinemas, they need to get people in and get these guys to see more movies per month. That is what the offer was. We did hear a couple of voices asking for the inclusion of premium cinemas, etc. Without realizing that if I was to get the premium cinemas a part of this offer, then obviously the subscription model will not work at $699, right? It will then sit at maybe $1,899, $2,000, whatever, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of getting, depriving a very large chunk of audience who stand to benefit from such an outstanding value offer. Now, the people who are buying the subscription model can see up to 10 movies for the price of what earlier they could only go and watch 2, right? That is the stark difference which is there. Now, currently, obviously, we have rolled it out. It is on trial stage. We are only offering around 20,000 subscriptions to begin with and see. It has started on a good note, actually, with almost 7,000 subscriptions sold on the first day itself, right? Wow. So based on the initial response, we will fine-tune the model, because like you said, that we are still hearing the voices from the customer in terms of the conditions, terms, etc. Based on that, we will fine-tune the model as and when required, and then it can be rolled out to a larger audience across, the whole audience, the gamut of the screens. Yeah. But to summarize, I think, like I said, it's a model where we want to get the people in. We want them to enjoy more movies. We want to let them enjoy it at a more affordable price than even their their OTT subscription prices, which kind of bridges the gap between what people feel the cinemas are offering and what we kind of get at home entertainment offerings which are there. So we believe that it's a good trial, and I think another couple of months and we should be able to kind of get the feedback from customers and roll out and make it more relevant to a larger chunk of audience.
Sure. No, interesting, Manish. Great thinking and great thoughts from your side on this one. I would also like to go back and maybe starting from Manish and go around it, because our topic is multiplex operations in shopping malls. I don't know, do you as a multiplex operator also collaborate with malls in terms of marketing? Because I definitely see a lot of fashion brands, vanilla brands, a lot of F&B join up hands for doing a lot of marketing activities along with the mall, because a shopping center in itself has a huge customer walk-in, right? And they can do a lot of things together. However, I'm not too sure whether cinema operator does jointly something with the mall owners. I just wanted to touch upon that topic. If yes, or if not more, is there a scope to improvement? What can be done?
No, so I'll just put it, in terms of the partnership with malls. I think we have great partnership with all the malls, and we certainly we kind of collaborate with them to try and do events, etc. I think the larger difference which is there is that when you do a promotion with the cinema, for example, let's say if the mall is looking at the similar kind of an offering which comes from, let's say, an apparel retailer, right? Now, don't forget the apparel retailer works at a gross margin of around 70%, whereas that is nowhere close to where the cinema is. So if
you operate at more than 100%.
I wish. So if you look at it, I think we'll need to have more creative ways to collaborate, but that is certainly the way to go. Discounting the pricing of the tickets, etc., does not bring any, even while short term it can fill your fill the cinema, but I don't think it brings any value accurate to either the mall operator or to the cinema. So we need to get more creative in terms of, like we said, that we did these 2 events which were specific to a mall, because the mall guys sat down with us and they said, can we do an event? So if you, for example, are doing a wedding, promotion which is happening in the mall, it actually can make sense to do a festival at that time for movies which are related to wedding, right? Now, that does not require discounting of the tickets, but that requires curating of the offer. And when you say that it is a wedding thing, then it goes all the way to the cinema. I mean, just as a thought. Or when you do something similar to, which is targeted at, the ladies which visit the mall. Well, a lot of women-oriented movies which can be part of that. Around 15th August, at least in the TV, you see quite a lot of movies which happen, which are all related to independence and the things like that. I think those kind of things can certainly be curated, and as obviously the cinema operators will be more than happy if we can join our heads together and create a bouquet of events which are targeted towards the audience, which make it both relevant to you and to us. But the traditional ticket discounting model is something which I would steer clear of.
Cool. Devang, your views on collaborating on marketing, especially with mall developers? Are we doing enough? Is there a scope to do more?
Well, Inorbit should answer that, I guess. Look, I mean, Rohit, why we come to the mall is precisely to be in a safe environment, and not only to have the basic facility, but to basically have the pool of audiences which are already, or pool of the audiences which are already there. It's difficult for multiplexes to get the research and then tap the catchment, and that's where mall has done all the studies. So I guess the mall has a much bigger picture in terms of catchment, in terms of geo-targeting, in terms of from where their customers are coming or where their walk-ins are coming from. So whenever, let's say, we spoke about whenever there is a Gadar, whenever there is a Jawan, and whenever there is an Oppenheimer kind of titles, multiplexes do help mall to generate footfalls for the other retailer to get them converted, irrespective of a sale season, as we call it. So, I mean, the mall do keep doing all the sale season, and during that time, you have the peaks. But unlike that, whenever we have a peak, we don't do sale. We basically increase the price, right? So there is some mechanism which we need to understand on, because always, let's say if you're doing sale on 15th August, that's where the biggest title of the year, we witness. So we'll have to understand the mechanism of how this can be done throughout the year. I am not saying whether it is discounting, whether it is, a co-promotion, but what definitely we need to understand is that how do mall help cinema to generate footfalls when there are no titles. So that's something that we've been working with a few mall partners, whether it is something similar to, let's say, movie pass, or a property that you create. Like a couple of malls in the past had created properties on Wednesday, that Wednesday, Women's Wednesday, and then we had seen abnormally high footfall on Wednesday in the mall, but also in the cinema. So those are the things which we have to. I mean, there is no one formula which will fit for all. If I have to answer in one word, that do we need more engagement? Answer is yes, and precisely that's how we prefer to engage in the mall than going standalone. But what we are doing currently is definitely not enough, and there are a lot of data lying within the industry which we can utilize for each other's benefit.
Yes, very well put across, Devang. Well noted. Ashish, I would also like to touch base on a very important topic. I think few days or fortnight ago, there was an article that one of the cinema players here on the webinars, F&B business is bigger than one of the QSR's pizza player in the country. I'm not sure how true or bad or it is. So food has evolved as one of the biggest revenue lines for cinema and multiplex. What do you have to say on that one? And is there anything else alternate you guys are thinking on creating an additional revenue line?
Yeah, so Rohit, food always since the beginning has been a big, been one of the most important revenue line, I would say. And pre-pandemic to post-pandemic, food spends have just gone up and shot up to unexpected levels. See, we have our revenues typically are diversified between food, ad spends, and box office. Ad spends, I personally see, I'm newer to the industry, but I personally see that in the long term, ad spends may, given how digital spending towards advertisement is growing, I do feel that we will have to focus a lot more on food as a category. Whether taking food digitally, creating food brands, and taking those, because we have the capex, we do the capex investment in setting up a really big lavish kitchen in almost every single property. So can that capex be utilized? Can that investment be utilized? To further monetize and further market food. To beyond just the cinema. So that revenue stream needs to evolve. I think it will slowly, if rightly marketed, if rightly implemented and developed, over the next 4 to 5 years, you'll see that this will become a big revenue earner, whether digitally or monetizing our food digitally will become a big source of income. And I feel one needs to diversify from ad revenues. I think this may be digital, income, and all these other, food as a category will be one that will drive, our income and revenue streams going forward.
Yeah, just to add to that, Rohit, sorry. I mean, you're right that F&B is increasingly becoming important, and if you see some of the international chains, the successful ones, their F&B revenue is almost now up to around 60-65%, and the box office is actually 35 to 40%. So, and we are really far away from that. I think that is where you have, because you have the customer coming in anyway. Yeah, you have the location. You have, as Ashish said, you have great ambience, which is there, as good as it can get. And it's only a question of giving them one more reason to, loosen the purse instead of just the box office ticket. Because the more they connect with the brand, the more they connect with the offering, the more they feel at ease in the premises. I think it's easier to get them to just kind of extend their spend and increase, maybe order something more to eat. So I think F&B certainly is a big opportunity for everyone. Again, how does it evolve? Like I said, that we are working on quite a lot of concepts, etc. to see. The problem which is there is to say whether you create your own concept or you get another concept from outside, which is easier. But eventually, I think the best value adding opportunity is will have to be derived out when we go forward.
Right.
And just to add, we have the infrastructure, we have the manpower, and we are open till 2 a.m. Most of the restaurants all stop taking orders.
And you open also at 6 a.m.
Yeah, we can continue till 3 a.m. We can continue till 4 a.m. and we have the manpower there. So that is a big untapped opportunity, which I think in the next 4 to 5 years will evolve drastically. We have to see.
I agree. Definitely. Right. One more important thing, Devang, would like to understand from you, because Cinepolis obviously has more than 5,900 screens, I think, globally. What are the trends you seeing which is evolving in the multiplex? What are the global trends, and do you think the way we seeing our country, India, being shining, and all after COVID, China impact, now war in the Europe, and now also in the Middle East, everything Make in India is happening from a manufacturing side of it. India is shining. Do you see that impact also here in the cinema side of it, or what's the trend evolving overall in the cinema space? So if you can throw some light for all of us here, that'll be great.
Well, as we've seen historically, let me talk about Cinepolis. Cinepolis Indian numbers are exactly opposite of what the rest of the 19 countries they do. So India is quite independent of how the behavior is. Like we said, that we are still learning. One thing if I have to point out is something that we are still learning. We don't know what is happening, and that's what I highlighted at the beginning. But at the same time, global trend, they not necessarily reflect what will happen in India. It's always good to have a benchmark, but it's been proven that, like for example, next year in 2024, and we follow calendar year, so we are saying that the Hollywood will be down because of the strike and because of the writer's strike, and then the content from Hollywood flow will be much lower, and probably in 24 we'll be seeing one of the better year for the Bollywood and for the regional content. So while we do operate on 19 different countries and 6,500 screens, but each country has their own different dynamics, and especially India is way different. We really don't get a clue from what is happening in West will then follow in India. So I wouldn't go. Yes, of course, we have to keep on engaging on how do we take the best practices, like how do we maximize your F&B, how do you maximize your customer satisfaction, how do you come up with new ways of attracting audience. For example, now whether it is an alternate content, whether it is the Asia Cup that we took rights and distributed for cricket matches, but there are multiple ways. But those are just a reason for us to remind our customer that, okay guys, we are there. They don't even contribute more than like 0.5% of your total top line of the year. But it is important for us to keep doing those events just to communicate. So those are, I'm saying, is a learning which we can get, but there is no specific global trend which will be applicable to India.
Great, Devang. I think largely I'm kind of done with the questions. Anjeev, can we open it up for the audiences if they have some queries, and we have our esteemed guest, they can definitely pick it up. Anjeev, we can't hear you.
Please post your questions, and this panel shall be answering your questions. I think it was it was well explained. Things which you have presented in such a good manner that viewers could lag raha hoga kya puche. They have explained everything from every perspective. That that makes the thing very interesting. That's the reason why I didn't get any question. So
okay, excellent.
Shall we conclude this now?
Yes, I think then we can conclude it. And if you get any questions, then we can probably email it to our respective guests, and then they can probably answer it back to the viewer. Right. So with this, guys, thank you very much for spending your precious time here on a Thursday early evening. I definitely had to learn a lot from all of you guys, especially on the overall business model, overall the way you guys are thinking, the way you guys are passionate about your business. Where there's a new movie pass concept, F&B is very critical. What you really mentioned. Consumers which are time rich, but then you want the brand to be one more reason to be recalled on, and so on and so forth. So there were multiple points we all touched upon. Thank you very much, Devang, for your time, Ashish, Manish, all of you guys. It had been really pleasure to be there and host all of you guys here together.
Rohit, we shall be posting this on our YouTube. Plus, it will be available on our website also. And so, I thank all of you. Rohit, you have managed the discussion very dexterously, which I really, not me, everyone must have liked it, enjoyed it. And I thank you all for sparing your precious time and sharing your experiences and insights. And I hope that all my viewers must have enjoyed it, and it will be posted on YouTube and websites. So those who have missed the workshop or this webinar, they will get an opportunity to see there. So with this, we end today's webinar. Once again, I thank all of you for sparing your precious time and sharing your experiences with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thanks. Bye.